Yeah. So you've been a trainer now for about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Did you started out as a personal trainer. You said that you got your certificate, your personal training certificate
Mm-hmm.
through NASM,
Mm-hmm.
and you started training people.
Yep.
When along that journey did you start to link what you do with personal training and fitness
Mm-hmm.
and the trauma-informed stuff, and like how have you kind of linked that, and when did that happen in your process?
Yeah. So at that time when I was working at Lifetime, I started noticing kind of a trend of the clientele that was coming my way. And even prior to that, like in the church, like the kind of people that I found like gravitating towards me towards them were these people with those kinds of stories. I also have a chronic illness, like disease history. And that actually was a big part of what led me to getting back into fitness, was just being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so getting back into the gym for me was a way, to just kind of take that next step of like caring for my health. But yeah, so a lot of my clientele I saw like had chronic disease, had really painful histories. And so there just started to be this kind of regular pattern of the people I was in front of. And then when I started my business, I actually hired a business mentor, and we were going through this whole thing, especially in the online space. Like, you got to niche down, like who are you going to focus on, And so I was going through all these different kinds of like worksheets to try and figure out, because honestly at that time I didn't really know. I knew where my heart was, and I knew the people that I kind of loved to help. But it was like through that process of really figuring out like, who does my heart break for, and like thinking about my own story and how weightlifting specifically, like strength training, has been helpful to heal my own body and my own trauma. That's kind of where that came from. And it's super science backed. Like there's actually not a ton. I wish there were more, but there are a few like trials and studies around weightlifting and trauma and how it's really healing to the body. And so I don't know, honestly, any fitness professionals personally that are doing this work. And so, I just felt like, well, I want to be one of those people that brings that aspect of movement and like in the aspect of like healing trauma to this community in this area, and just be another kind of like advocate and ally for women specifically that have those histories and just need a safe space to heal.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that people overlook when it comes to personal training is like the vulnerability that's experienced, especially like, I mean, you do it out of your garage and your home. Like that's a really safe space. Like you just said, you're trying to create that space for people. And I think, initially someone starts out on their fitness journey, maybe it's a little bit of, and your clientele might be a little different as far as what that conversation looks like up front. But I think for you and I, it's probably more, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to get in better shape. I want to be able to go on this hike or whatever that looks like, more external, goal oriented. And I think folks don't really recognize, like, as you kind of get into that and you maybe build a relationship with a quality coach, like that's a really vulnerable space. And there's some stuff that comes out of you that is beyond just, we're sweating, we're working hard. So talk to us a little bit about how, it doesn't have to be a specific, like session scenario, but like, what are some strategies that you use with your clients in that space to create, like you said, that safe space for people to be vulnerable and to have that experience with you?
Yeah. So what I love about weightlifting and what has been studied and proven is that it can actually help to restore our connection to the body, where there's been a disconnect, and improve symptoms of trauma. And so like from my space, let's talk about my space, because what feels safe is so individual to people, right? Like I felt safe working out in Lifetime, right? Like, so working out in kind of your corporate kind of box gym. Some people feel super safe and comfortable and want to be in like a CrossFit or a barbell type gym and find like an immense amount of like community and comfortability there. For me, I decided to open up like my private space for those who are really intimidated and fearful, and maybe even kind of get triggered in one of those other kinds of like gym spaces. And so how I've set up my space has been, from just like a physical standpoint, has been really intentional towards women, towards people with trauma histories. So, like neutral coloring, so it's not super like stimulating and distracting. I actually have no mirrors in my gym. Minimal equipment, so more functional, so it just doesn't feel chaotic. It feels organized, it feels clean. Even down to like, hey, my client walks in, do you want music today? Do you not want music? What kind of music do you want? Do you want the fan on? Do you not want the fan on? Do you want the garage open? Do you not want the garage open? And so when it comes to like trauma specifically, some of the big things to keep in mind in a trauma-informed practice are like safety, compassion, trust, choice, voice, and yeah, like, because from somebody who's been through like a traumatic history, choice was taken away from them, right? They felt powerless. They felt like they didn't have a voice. They didn't feel supported. They didn't feel safe. And so I'm constantly like thinking through that in my space of what's going to help my client feel supported, feel like they can trust me. Right. And part of like setting up a space in a way that feels inviting and welcoming and not triggering or intimidating is really important to me. So those are the people I'm looking to like pull into my space, and with the hopes of like, as we do the work in the space, that maybe eventually they'll be able to get to a point where they have the capacity to actually walk into a gym space and not be triggered by it, not be intimidated by it. Now know enough about like working out and movement and equipment that they could walk into a physical gym space and be confident in taking up space there, So that's kind of like the physical aspect of the space. Then outside of making sure, my space is set up well, it's when my clients walk in, one of the first things that I'm asking them is, how do I find you today? Physically, emotionally, and oftentimes I can see it. And, I'm constantly reading body language, reading, expression. I'm listening to what is being said, what's not being said, just how I find them, how they show up in the space. Like, that's really important. So of course, like, I come in with a program, and a plan for my client, but part of the whole like choice and voice aspect of it is like, if they walk in, they're seeing the plan ahead of time. Like, I put it in my app. But at any point they have, the agency to be able to say like, hey, I don't think I'm ready for this today, or I'm really feeling like this today. Can we maybe skip, this movement or this thing? I saw it's on the plan for today, but I don't know that I'm in a mental space, to be able to do that. But even during like our workouts, I'm constantly paying attention to what's going on and what's being said. So I know how to help them, like either if it's, we need to regulate, we need to ground, we need to be a little more mindful in our movement, we need to breathe, right? Like, so often I see my clients holding their breath. So like one of the first things I even teach my clients is how to breathe properly, because so much of like those with trauma histories they're bracing for impact, right? They're holding their breath. And so really getting in tune with our body like is so important. And it's the power of a movement-based practice is coming back to the body, so in my space, I'm really giving my clients room to learn to come back to their body, to be present in their body. So much of trauma is like disconnect from body, right? And so we're trying to reconnect with the body to see it as a good thing, right? My body's good. My body's actually signals to me what it needs if I would just like pay attention to it. So it's helping them come into their body, feel safe in their body, feel trust in their body again, where maybe they didn't feel safe or trust in their body, grow in their, capability and their confidence in their body and themselves being able to do hard things, which then increases capacity to do more hard things, not just in the gym, but in real life. And so those are just kind of some of the things that I'm paying attention to and being mindful of, so that I can help my clients have a good relationship with their body and learn to be present in this body that maybe hasn't always felt so good,